This is the defending champion, Gabriele Piero. Can he repeat? This is his main challenger, Laurent Aiello in a Peugeot. He wants to wear the crown. This is a former champion, Johnny Cecotto, the first in the series. And here's another champion, Jochen Winkelhock. They're all here to go after that title once again. 7 manufacturers on hand. Alfa Romeo has joined the field. Audi is still here, the only 4-wheel drive in the series. But they're going to have their hands full with extra handicap weight. BMW, always one to contend with. Honda has joined the field. Right along with Nissan, both with 2 cars. Opel comes into the series. They're coming from the International Touring Car Championship. They're going to have their hands full here. And of course, the top challenger, Peugeot. Great crowd on hand for the Super Touring Car Cup competition at Hockenheim. They'll be running the Grand Prix course today. On the pole position, the challenger, Laurent Aiello in the Peugeot, and you really have to wonder, does this put a lot of pressure on him, being the favorite?
A little bit, for sure, but we have to control this point anyway. Here we are the favorites for sure, but some races coming are less good for our car. So I think that at that moment we will not be as favorites than we are now. So we have to do the best that we can here to get a lot of points, and we will see what happens on the other race.
On the outside pole, Jochen Winkelhock in the BMW. He promises to be tough here at Hockenheim. Plenty of pre-race festivities for the crowd, estimated at about 42,000 fans today. It's a little cool, there is a chance of rain, but everybody is ready for some racing. 31 cars are on the grid, ready to go. There are 6 nationalities in this field for drivers, but right now all it counts is getting the jump. That's Aiello on the right. He moves in. He's going to cut off Winkelhock as they head toward the right-hander. Cecotto is on the outside in the BMW. As they go through the first corner, everything looks like it's going pretty well. Aiello gets the jump. Everyone else seems to be sorting it off, and 2 cars have gone off the course. 2 cars have gone off the course right on the very first lap. Aiello is your leader. Then comes Johnny Cecotto in the BMW. This is Heigert. He is out. Looks like Kurt Thiem is also out. The field has sorted itself out well as they're going along the fastest portion of the course here. Aiello leads into the first chicane, then comes Cecotto. And look at that, Jorg van Omen in the next Peugeot is running 3rd. And Winkelhock has dropped all the way back to 4th place. Everyone else has sorted themselves out. Look at the bottom right of your screen. Heigert has a problem evidently with braking and comes right off, and Kurt Thiem didn't have a chance. Drove him right off into the sand. Kurt Thiem joining this field when Klaus Ludwig decided not to drive for Opel this year. So on Thursday, Kurt Thiem climbed into the car, and he'd never driven a front-wheel car before. And he won't get much chance here in the first race either. Heading now back toward the infield, and there's one of the Audis. That's Piero in the gray Audi, moving ahead of Modena. Now he's carrying a lot of extra weight. They put on 30 kilograms extra because of the 4-wheel drive. So he is about 66 pounds more than everybody else simply by that handicap. So a car that dominated last year, you see it here on the left, that gray one with the gray rear view mirrors. For a car that dominated, well, it wasn't quite so. This is Christian Abt. He finds a different route through the corners, makes it back on the course, and is still going all right. He's also in an Audi. It's going to be interesting to see because the Abt team, made up of Christian Abt and Chris Nissen, are on Yokohama tires, and the factory cars are on Dunlops. In fact, the Abt team's the only team running on Yokohama tires here in this first weekend of the season. Everyone's sorting themselves out very nicely here after the first lap. Take another look at Christian Abt as he goes through the sand, bounces around, and comes back on the course. He was a sensation last year in his first appearance in the series, and great things are hoped for him. Gets back in front of the field. Laurent Aiello and his Peugeot have now put some distance between themselves and Johnny Ciccarro in the BMW and Jorg van Omen running third in the other Peugeot. Manfred Winkelhock remains right back there in fourth position. And look at that, the Hondas are running fifth and sixth. Honda running fifth and sixth, Alfred Hager and Marco Werner. And the two Hondas entered in the field. So they're running strong here in the opening moments of the sprint race. Now this one runs for 8 laps. It is the first of 2 races that make up a weekend for the Super Touring Car Cup. Leopold van Bayern, he's in the pits. They're working on his car. There's a short break between this race and then what we'd call the feature race, and then they're going to run 15 laps in the feature race. The feature race will be set up by the way these cars finish in this race. So they qualified individually for the start of the sprint, and when the time comes to run the feature, it'll depend upon how they do here. And right now, it looks like Laurent Aiello and his Peugeot want the pole position for that feature race. He's way out there. One of the 2 cars with cameras, riding with Pirot, back in the pack just a little bit. But you get a good look at the course from the driver's point of view here at Hockenheim. And it looks like everybody's using the curbs as well as they possibly can. That pylon isn't having a good day, that's for sure. But everybody bouncing through, using every part of the track they can. Johnny Ciccarro in the BMW, running second. Be interesting to see if Jorg van Omen can give him any pressure here. What's really amazing about it when you think this is that Jorg van Omen comes into the series, as do a number of drivers who last year drove in the International Touring Car Cup, and they come in and there's all kinds of problems for them when you think about it. They don't have a lot going for them like they used to. There's no ABS system, no electronic help. They don't have any chance to warm up the tires. There's less horsepower and less aerodynamics. It's quite a change, and all of them have had different levels of success making the change to these basically front-wheel drive cars. The only 4-wheel drive cars are the Audis. The BMWs are rear-wheel drives. In future seasons, it'll only be front-wheel drive cars. The front-wheel drive cars don't have as much weight. There's more weight added. The BMW has more weight and the Audi has the most weight simply because of the way the cars are driven. And then Audi picked up the extra weight right along with it. So you can see that it's a interesting situation. They're trying to keep everything even in the competition. And right now, when you look at the field, everybody is running tight. This is Uwe Alsen, and Alsen is getting by Maassen in the Nissan. Uwe Alsen in the Opel gets by Maassen in the Nissan. This back in the pack a ways. Meanwhile, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place cars continue to battle here. Ciccarro, Van Omen, and Winkelhock. And nobody's letting up here. It'll be interesting to see how the tactics go here in the first race. You have to finish the sprint, of course, to get set up to go into the feature, or you'll start way in the back of the pack. And with the cars being so equal, starting back in the pack is almost impossible to win. So you're left with the situation, do I want to conserve the car and still run hard, or do I want to run hard? Or can I conserve it? And right now, Ciccarro and Van Omen and Winkelhock are not trying to conserve anything. Aiello is building up a nice lead, which should give him a little bit of a cushion in this first 8-lap race. Look at that lead by Aiello. It's getting bigger and bigger. He's not having any problems whatsoever. Peugeot likes this long course, long and fast, I should say, here at Hockenheim. I should mention there are 3 tire manufacturers here, Dunlop, Michelin, and Yokohama. But as I mentioned earlier, just the 2 cars of Abt and Chris Nissen, the Audis, those 2 Audis are running on the Yokohamas. The Peugeot, incidentally, that has the Michelin tires, as does Ciccarro's BMW. So the top 4 cars are all running on Michelin. There you see a little bit of the difference between 1st and 2nd. So Aiello is continually building up a lead here after a great start at the beginning. the battle remains right here. Second, third, and fourth here at Hockenheim. This is the beginning of a 10-race season, 2 races each weekend in this Cup Championship. All but 2 of the events are being held in Germany. Another one in Zolder, another in Austria. And so a lot of the drivers who are coming new into the series who haven't driven front-wheel drive cars are figuring it's going to take them a couple races before they really get to be competitive. Now for the Opels, it's not only the fact they've got to worry about the front-wheel drive, they have got to make the car competitive. And right now the Opels are running quite a ways back in the field. But that was expected. They did not expect to get way up front. They are basically here to gain experience and get some miles on their cars so that as the season goes along, they're going to get a lot stronger. Right now, the strongest, though, has to be Aiello. This time you're riding with Manuel Reuter. Bartels is ahead of him. In fact, there's a pack of cars ahead of him. After winning the championship last year in the International Touring Car Championship, this certainly has to be a different feeling for him running this far back in this number of pack of cars. And again, you get a great look at the course, the Grand Prix circuit here at Hockenheim. You're heading right now into what's called the stadium area. A left-hander, then there's a short straight chute, working their way left, and then there's a sweeping long right-hander. It takes his time getting around to the front straightaway. And Laurent has come up with the fastest lap here in the race. This is the first time these cars have appeared on the Grand Prix course. They've run the short course here, but never the long course. Everyone was kind of worried that that first corner and the first chicane would be a problem. And basically they weren't. Pirot comes in and gets by Modena. So the defending champion, who is running back in the pack just a ways, in fact he's right back around 11th place, gets by Stefano Modena. Beside the Drivers' Point Championship, there's a Manufacturers' Point Championship this year, which means that each team had to name 2 cars that would be the ones accumulating points toward the manufacturer's title. And as far as the top 4 cars are concerned, all of them are running for the manufacturer's title. And Alfred Hager in the Honda running 5th, and Werner also listed, of course, for Honda for the title. So the top 6 are right up there for the manufacturer's title. And there is a team title. That are the other drivers on the teams, and they go for a team championship. Besides that, there's a junior championship for drivers under 25 years of age. There are 2 of them in the field today. So there's a chance for everybody here to gain some fame and fortune through different types of championships. They have been running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as tight as you want to see them this entire sprint race. Gianni Cecotto, Jorg van Omen, and Manfred Winkelhoff. Then comes Alfred Hager, Marco Werner, and look at that, there's an Audi right up there running with them. Chris Nissen in the Audi is running way ahead of the factory Audis. The factory Audis are running back in 10th and 11th place, and meanwhile, Nissen is running right up there in 7th place. So he's running ahead of the factory cars in his private entry from App Sportsline. Not bad. You can see the clouds here. The temperature has been fluctuating. There's been a threat of rain, but as yet there hasn't been any, although during the weekend it sprinkled on and off. Once again, you're looking at that chase back there with the defending champion out in front. He has Modena behind him, then Muller. Then comes Sascha Maassen in the Nissen. A regular train developing back here in the back of the pack. Starting for 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th slots. This certainly is a change of fortunes as far as the Audi factory cars are concerned. Last year they were running up front. This year they're running a little bit further back than they probably want to. There you get a look from Pirot's car of Modena right behind him. Nissens aren't doing too bad back there. Running behind this group. once again, here comes Stefano Modena in the Alfa Romeo. He's trying to get by Pirro. He gets not quite inside. Wanted to, but it just wasn't there. Pirro held him off. Now, these cars are very equal. It's not that easy to pass. So you really have to pick your points and hope that you can slipstream a little bit and make the move at that point to duck underneath. That's what Modena was trying to do, but didn't make it. There goes Werner's Honda, and then comes Chris Nissen in the Abt Audi. And the factory Audis continue to have their problems in the back as Pirro holds off Stefano Modena in the Alfa Romeo. Modena, another one who's having to make the adjustment to front-wheel drive. But Pirro continues to hold his position. Roland Asch running up there right behind Sascha Mazen. The front runners remain the same. Now they're going by one of the lap cars, Van Bayern. Ello is already past him. It's a matter now for Ceccato, Van Omen, and Winkelhock to do the same. And talking with Van Omen before the race, he kept talking about the differences and the things he had to learn to drive this car this year. And he certainly had his awareness of driving a different type of car certainly heightened this season. The one you kind of feel sorry for is Kurt Thieme, who went out on the very first lap in the Opel after being driven off the course by Heigart. Kurt was happy he didn't have a ride this season anywhere, and then all of a sudden when Ludwig decided he didn't want to drive, Kurt was there, but he didn't even get a lap in here in race lap. He did pretty well in qualifying, getting used to the car. And he was probably just simply hoping to get some laps in and get used to the car here in the first race, and that's not there, so he'll get a chance in the second race, but he'll be starting way back in the pack, but at least he'll be able to get some race time in the car. Top six remain the same. Peugeots, BMWs, and Hondas. Van Omen is going inside but not getting by Ceccato as they all go by Leopold van Bayern. It looked as though Van Omen in that yellow Peugeot was going to take advantage of Ceccato as they went by a slower car. But one thing you have to remember about Johnny Ceccato, he's not one of the easiest drivers to pass. In fact, he can make a car as wide as anybody can. Just like that. He'll shut the door real quick. You have to work if you want to get by Johnny Ceccato. What's interesting is also the car running fourth, Joachim Winkelhock, is Ceccato's teammate. And one of the questions this season when they put those two drivers together is they're both very aggressive. Neither one of them want to have any cars ahead of them. It's going to be interesting to see how they react if they have to compete with each other. Both are very aggressive drivers. But again, this is the first of the two races of the day, 8-lap sprint race, so everybody gets their position, and I wouldn't be too surprised that the top four aren't too happy with where they are right now. If they get the chance, they'll move on, but if they don't, then they'll conserve everything to get through to the second race. Now, they're only allowed to use 10 tires. 10 tires, that includes those 10 have to be used for qualifying and the sprint race and then the feature race. So those 6 of them go into the qualifying in the first race, so they've already got some time on them coming into the sprint race. And everybody saves that last 4, of course, to run the feature. So the tires become a question as we wear on here in the final moments of this first sprint race here at Hockenheim. Take another look. There was an incident back in the pack. Alexander Burgstaller spins out or may have been helped out. Let's take a look. Donner spins. Burgstaller is on the inside. Donner then taps him again, and Burgstaller goes off. That's one way to go off the course. Here comes Jörg Van Omen on the right. He wants to get inside on Johnny Ceccato, and he can't do it. It's just not there. Now, Jörg is also not being as aggressive as he might, which would mean he probably is holding that car together so he'll be ready for the second race as well. Aiello is basically coasting. He got a big lead, and now he's sitting on it. Of course, Van Omen has the problem. Not only does he want to get by Ceccato, but he's also got to hold off Winkelhock, who's right behind him. It's not the easiest of situations. Here comes Winkelhock right up behind Van Omen again. But notice how that Ceccato pulls away in the corners. Van Omen is able to close on the straights. The difference in power here. And there he is, your winner. No surprise to anyone here, Laurent Aiello. And then second, third, and fourth, as they have been all season, race his first season, as Ceccato, Van Omen, and Winkelhock. And look at that. There is Chris Nissen in the Audi. A private Audi beats the factory cars here in Hockenheim. There's your top 10. Look at that 7th position. Christian Menzel, the junior driver, right up there. But of course, the day belonged to Aiello and Peugeot. It's a great start for the season.
Yes, for sure. If you reach first place and third place in the first race, it was fantastic because we was the first in the qualification, we was the first in the free practice, and then to be first in the first race is opportunity for a good thing. But we must wait for the second race.
Johnny Ceccato also has to be happy because finishing second is not a bad way to start the season.
No, it's not bad, but the other guy was too quick. I couldn't follow.
All right, but things looked, you had to fight a lot with Van Omen there toward the end.
Yeah, it was. He was catching me at the end of the straight, and I had a hard time to keep him behind.
Third place for Jörg Van Omen in the Peugeot. Also not a bad way to start the season, particularly when you consider all the changes he had to undergo to get used to this car.
For my first battle in the front-wheel driven car, it was really hard because I had to brake very late, and that was not so easy for me, but I do not want to risk too much. I think in some situations there was the possibility for me to overpass, but it would be risky, and this is a short race, and I think I have to be a little bit more intelligent, and so I have to be careful in the first race, and maybe I can now more attack.
It's still a little bit of a learning process then.
It's a real learning process, I tell you.
Well, the fans are taking a break here, getting ready for the second race of the day. The drivers are set to go. All of them ready to go. 31 once again for the start. Aiello is on the right, and that is Ceccato on the left in the BMW. This is a long wait for green, and we have it. And Aiello gets the jump. He pulls over to block Ceccato, but look at on the far left, Winkelhock. He went looking for racing room. He found it, and he got by his teammate. So we've had the first battle of teammates on BMW as Winkelhock gets by Ceccato. Let's see how the rest of them sort themselves out. Look at those Audis from the app team. They're running right up there, back there in those day-glow yellow cars, 5th and 6th right now. Amazing. Van Omen, it looks like he's running 3rd. Where he finished the first race, he is. So Aiello is your leader. Then comes right behind him in that white BMW is Winkelhock running 2nd. Then is Van Omen. Behind him is Johnny Ceccato. And Christian Abt has moved all the way up. Boy, did he get a good start. He's running 5th. Aiello again, starting to spread some distance between himself and the second place car. He's had an amazing start here. 2 great starts. He blocked the field. He took the competition out of it going into that right-hander. On the other hand, Joachim Winkelhock had a great start, found some room, forced his way to the front, way over to the inside, is now running 2nd. Now Jörg Van Omen has once again got to try to pass another BMW. This time he's got to tackle Joachim Winkelhock. Have to see how Ceccato takes that, running back in 4th place. Now, I mentioned earlier that those 2 BMW drivers are very aggressive drivers, but they're also very smart drivers. They'll push the car when they have to. They'll also conserve it when they have to. This, the feature race of the day for the Super Touring Car Cup, runs 15 laps here on the Grand Prix course at Nürburgring. Over 6 kilometer long, 4 miles, over 4 miles long. And where everybody was predicting there'd be all kinds of accidents and problems in the opening laps, certainly here in the second race has not happened, although they touched there with Mark Gindorf getting pushed out just a little bit. He got outside the line. You're back in the pack with Manuel Reuter. That is Mark Gindorf right ahead of him. So Reuter, who's been running back in the pack, has had his share of difficulties, but it was to be expected. They did not expect to win the race, let alone finish that far up, but Opel certainly has some time to do some learning here if they're going to do well. Laurent Aiello in the Peugeot, showing everybody his back bumper. He has just taken off and left everybody behind. Here's a battle of the Honda and the Audi. Marco Werner on the left in that red Honda, and his teammate Alfred Hager has gone off. Something wrong with his car. That leaves just one Honda in the event. But Marco Werner certainly has put on quite a show. He finished 6th in the first race, and he's right up there competing here tight in that same position in the second race. Aiello continues to stretch his lead. Nobody can seem to catch that man. He is just running away and leaving everybody else behind. You certainly can't miss that app team, can you? That day glow yellow. And there's the other one, Chris Nissen, running back in the pack away. 2 more back. Those are 2 cars you can't miss when you watch these races, that's for sure. And once again, here comes Van Omen. He's trying to make the move on Winkelhock. Winkelhock has the line. Van Omen doesn't have a chance. Joachim cut him off. Here comes Cecotto. Cecotto wants to get by. Is he going to be able to do it? That's Cecotto on the left of the track. And then there is Van Omen on the right in that yellow Peugeot. They're running back there for 3rd and 4th place. Cecotto may have it. No, they're still running side by side. And Cecotto does get by. So Johnny Cecotto gets by Jorg Van Omen to take over 3rd place, and now he's got to hold him off. Once again, we repeat, for the Audi fans, it's a private team Audi that's running way up front. The factory cars are having their share of problems and running back in the pack a ways. In fact, the first Audi is back in about 10th position right now, Manuel Apiro. But up front, it's now become a Peugeot BMW battle, and BMW is controlling 2nd and 3rd. No one's controlling Aiello, he's just leaving everybody else behind. Then comes the train back further down the pack, led by Manuel Apiro in the factory Audi. The Honda once again battling with Christian Abt, and he's by him. This is a very nice battle. Back there for 5th and 6th. And Abt gets back by him. No one's going to hold Christian Abt in this case, it looks like. And Chris Nissen is having problems. Back in the pack, someone is battling him, getting by him, in fact. So we have a couple of battles going here. As Christian Menzo is battling with Chris Nissen, the young junior driver. He's not able to get by, but he's putting on an excellent performance in the BMW. Laurent Aiello, the man who wants the championship this year, is getting off to a great start. He picked up the 30 points for winning the first race. The question is, can he do it in the second? The battle between the Abt team is continuing as they keep working their way to the front. Those Day-Glow colors certainly stick out. Joachim Winkelhock running 2nd, Johnny Cecotto right behind him 3rd, and Jorg Van Omen. Now for the fans of this series who like to watch these cars, and touring cars are very popular, take a look if you can at the rear view mirrors. That is the key to figure out your driver if you can't read the name on the car. Because they have to mark either the rear view mirrors or some way on the front of the car so you have an idea which driver is which, although I've got to admit I really like the idea that they have the name all the way around the car. When you look at it, you can see the names are on the side of the car, the name is on the front windshield, there's a name on the rear windshield, so you got a shot at it, but if you miss the name, you look for the colors on the rear view mirrors. For instance, with the Hondas, you have to really look, as with the Nissans, you have to pay close attention to figure out which is which. Usually you can do it by, if they're far away as they are now, you have to really look for those mirrors. For instance, Christian Abt, the leading Dayglow yellow Audi there with the blue mirrors, and he's being overtaken by the Honda with the white mirrors. That's Marco Werner. Well, he's not. What a great bit of racing here. Abt will not let him by, and he holds him off. Some very tight racing back in the pack by, again, I say, the independent team of Audi. Their best performing Audi today. Great show. And Christian Danner has problems. Looks like tire problems. He's going off. Happened a little earlier. And everyone wonders if Aiello knows what problems are. He has been out in front and simply coasting. It's easy to say, of course, but he's been simply out there in front with no worries except staying there. Jörg van Omen seems to be settling into fourth place. It does not seem that he is challenging Cecotto whatsoever. In fact, he is losing ground just a little bit. Now the Peugeot will pick up ground on the straightaway. He'll lose it in the curves. And if he's going to make time, he'll make it here on this straightaway and try to make a move going into the right-hander, but he's just too far back. That leaves the next question is going to be, is Cecotto going to try to make a move on Winkelhock, or has the team said, you guys stay there as long as you can, run second and third? We'll find out maybe if there really is a battle between these two very strong-willed drivers. Right now, there doesn't seem to be any problem whatsoever. They're staying together. Aiello has left them behind. Look at the distance now between the two BMWs and Jörg van Omen. It looks like van Omen is going to settle into fourth and pick up those points here in the first race weekend. This in the 15-lap feature race of the Super Touring Car Cup of Germany. The first of 10 races this season. The next stop on the tour will be in Zolder, Belgium. A totally different type of track, a little bit narrow, far more difficult to pass than it is here at Hockenheim. Once again, you're riding with Manuel Reuter in his Opel with a good view of the circuit and the long straightaways here at Hockenheim. He's got the longest part of the straightaway now. You can see he's been in top gear. Then he has to bring it down to go into the chicane. Your top five continue to be dominated by Peugeot, BMW, and Honda, but look at that. Christian Abt, with his Audi, is running fifth right now. Great performance by this young driver who has his own team. What's interesting in the pits is they're parked right next to the factory cars, so you know they're looking right at them. And Emmanuel Pirot takes a different line through the corner. He got a little bit high in the braking and had to take the escape route around and lost the position. And here's the battle once again. The Honda on the right, the Audi on the left. Werner and Abt. And they're still running side by side, but the Honda wouldn't let off. Werner just wouldn't hold off and went through. And Abt had to drive back. And now his teammate, Chris Nissen, is right behind him. This is the Heigert car. Look at, he's got a front tire problem. He'll have to come into the pits. Let's see if Chris Nissen is going to try to get by Christian Abt. The two Audis are running right up there. Truly amazing. Christian Menzel is running right behind them, the young junior driver. So the battle once again is back in the pack just a little bit to see if the two Abt cars are going to go at it, or the young Menzel is going to be able to get by them both. Right now, Marco Werner in the Honda's got a little bit of breathing room, at least more than he had before. The Honda putting on a very good performance here, first race of the season. be quite happy with the way they've gone. There are your second and third place cars. Winkelhock ahead of Cecotto. These are two of the manufacturer points cars, so they are picking up valuable points for the manufacturer's championship. So that makes you wonder whether the team says, hey, look, you're fighting for a position. You can use the points for the driver's title. You're both about equal, and we can use the points for the manufacturer's title. A lot of thinking going on, trying to figure that one out. Nobody wants to make a mistake right now. These are two very experienced drivers. They're not going to make that kind of mistake here early in the season, particularly. Jorg van Olmen has dropped further and further back. It doesn't look like he's going to be in contention for more than fourth place right now. He may, if he keeps dropping back, have to contend with somebody else for that position. But right now, as you look at the track, there's a long way to go before the next car comes into the line. So the BMWs and the Audis, the two winning teams, but BMW here holding up their colors, running second and third. It'll be interesting to see how that season goes along, because you have the tire battle going, and then you have this going on between all these drivers. And the courses are not going to favor the powerful cars. And there you can see they're running very tight together. And look at that car from Alsen with the doors coming open. And the two Abt cars bump. Chris Nissen bumped Christian Abt. He goes out, and that's why the doors opened on Alsen's car. He was the innocent bystander and got creamed by Christian Abt, who had been hit and turned by his teammate. There's going to be a conversation after this race. I don't think I want to be there when it takes place on the Abt team. Look at this. Abt comes back. Alsen didn't stand a chance. He was coming by, and somebody broadsided him. And both doors open. So now he's driving with a severe handicap. Be interesting to see how he's able to handle that situation. Aiello just continues to roll. He's had an amazing day. He has led every lap so far, both the sprint race and here. It's a great performance for he and Peugeot. And as we look now, here comes Alsen, and one door has fallen off his side already and the other is open. Actually, that's very dangerous. If the door flies off and hits another car behind him, that's very, very dangerous. You could probably expect a black flag any time, but he's been running that way for a while. The door is just hanging on there, and there's the other door that had flown off. Then finally here in lap 12, the black flag has gone out for Uwe Alsen, and he has lost the other door on his car, and he continues to go. And of course the fans are rooting him on. They're impressed that he's able to keep racing. However, it's not the safest situation with that wide side wide open. And Christian Donner gets sideways right in front of Johnny Cecotto, who's running third, as they try to lap him here. Alsen did go in, and he has parked his car, and from what we have heard, there was plenty of cheering in there as they had been rooting him on when he was driving without that driver's side doors. The distance continues to spread here as Aiello is way out in front. After the encounter with Christian Donner in the overlapping process, Cecotto has dropped way back to third, so Manfred Winkelhock is not being challenged for second place. We have 4 laps to go here in Hockenheim. And this one is now a matter of keeping that car together. The top 4 pretty much now decided, running by themselves. There they are. Marco Werner in the Honda doing a great job in 5th. And look at that, the Audi of Chris Nissen is still running in 6th place after bumping his teammate. The young junior, Christian Menzel, is back in 7th place. After that come the Opels. Well, they're up in the top 10 anyway, at least at this point. So they don't have to hold their head too low here. They knew it was going to be a development day. Incidentally, for you Kurt team fans, he's running back around 20th right now, so he's getting his time in. Schminkler coming into the pits. He and his Alfa Romeo. This is the private team. Franz Engsler has his name on all 4 cars. He has part ownership in those teams. And once again, the battle is back in the pack. This is Muller in the Audi, but you're riding now once again with Manuel Reuter. And again, you get a great look at the track here and the track behind you. Reuter, right now, just trying to get some distance and get some time in and get the car up to speed in the SMS Team Opel. Heading into the chicane. You see how they use the curbs here. Using every bit of the track and all the curb they can. You see a part hanging off the car of Bartels also at that left-hand side. Something's loose. There comes Pirro on the right side of your screen, the top factory auto. Then comes Muller in another factory auto. Then comes Bartels. Then comes Reuter. So you're riding with a 4th car in a 5-car train here at Hockenheim. And there they come. Running in the back of that group right there was Roland Asch in the Nissan. So they have groups of cars battling here. The top 4 have been constant in both the sprint race and in the feature race here. So right now the interest is back to see how these other cars are going to do, particularly the Opel. You want to see how the Nissan is going to do because this is the beginning of the long haul in the season. I'd like to see how they're going to do. This is Muller, then comes Bartels, then comes Reuter. And then right behind them is Roland Asch in the Nissan. It's a 4-car train. Manuel Pirro with the headlights on there has put some distance between himself and those last 4. Now they're probably going to try to keep Pirro as far forward as they possibly can because he's going after the manufacturer's points. He and Philip Peter are the 2 cars listed for manufacturer's points. Here comes Reuter trying to go by Bartels, and he gets by, but can Nissen get by? Bartels bumps the Nissan of Asch, and Asch holds it, gets it back on the course, but Bartels holds him off. Reuter moves up a spot. Now he's going after the Audi of Muller, Ivan Muller, in his first season here in the Super Touring Car Cup of Germany. Manuel Reuter remains back in the pack, continuing to battle his way forward as best he can. He certainly has had his hands full here. There's another look as Asch takes to the greenery here at Hockenheim, but he kept control. Bartels, another of the drivers coming into the series, needing to gain front drive experience. As the battle in the pack continues way back, Pirro is running 9th, and the cars behind him then are running, of course, 10 through 13. Muller running 10th. But when you consider that one of the Abt Audi's independent cars is running in front of them, it's quite a performance by the Abt team. They're going for the team championship, by the way. The other Audis I mentioned, Pirro and Philip Peter, are going for the manufacturer's title. So actually, Chris Nissen is doing quite some duty for the Abt team. They'll pick up some good points here. That part still on the back left side of Michel Bartels, hanging a little bit free there. Many of the cars showing the wear and tear of an afternoon of racing here on the Grand Prix course. Roland Asch is literally pushing Bartels. Asch wants to get by. The question is, can he? He really is pushing Bartels as all he can. He's running back in 13th, and he wants to move up. Look at that, Chris Nissen running 6th in the Audi. And the next Audi is the factory car back in 9th position, and young Christian Menzel in 8th place, the junior driver in the BMW, putting on a good performance. So there promises to be a great racing season ahead. We got some very good young drivers, and of course the veteran pros are doing exactly what everybody expected them to do. Here comes Asch. He wants to get by Bartels. It looked like he's going to make it. Roland Asch has passed Michel Bartels. So the Nissan continues to move forward. He's got Manuel Reuter ahead of him. It doesn't look like Bartels is going to be able to contend, but Asch certainly can contend with Manuel Reuter. Trick's going to be, can he catch up to him? Here comes Pirot running 9th. Here comes Asch. He's moving up on Reuter, and he gets by him. So Roland Asch in the Nissan is charging here with a couple of laps to go. Very strong. So here you're riding with Reuter, and look how far Asch has already pulled away in the Nissan. But look how far this man has pulled away. Amazing performance by Laurent Aiello. A big distance between himself and the second place car, the BMW of Joachim Winkelhock. Aiello has been putting on the laps. Amazing performance. He gets a good jump heading into Zolder, which would be the next stop on the tour. And he admits that Zolder really is not going to be quite the track for Peugeot that Hockenheim seems to be. Here, power is asked for, and Peugeot provides it. But in Zolder, it's going to be a little tighter. And the handling is going to come into play a lot more. Interesting to see, but right now it's unbelievable the performance he's putting on here at Hockenheim. Nobody has come close to him. He has simply dominated since they arrived. The top 4, the same top 4 with a little change as the sprint race. Look at that, Marco Werner with that Honda running right up there in 5th. Nissan in the Audi. So Pirot and Muller remain back in 9th and 10th. Roland Asch still has to battle a little bit to get up a little further if he wants to. Right now it's Asch who's putting on the show for the fans here. 1 lap to go. That was after 14 laps. We're in the last lap. So let's take a look here. He's just got to bring her home, basically. Good crowd on hand, 42,000 here in Hockenheim. Cheering on Laurent Aiello, the dominating force of Hockenheim. A great performance here on the Grand Prix course. The first time these cars have taken to this circuit in the young history of the series. And here he comes. The king of Hockenheim for 1997, in the beginning of the year. Laurent Aiello swings by his crew, a happy bunch of people. Winkelhock is 2nd. Cicotto is 3rd. And look at this, Roland Asch moves up another spot as he gets by Muller. Bumped a little metal, and Roland Asch, who is one of the crowd favorites everywhere he goes, puts on a great show here in the past few laps. And Asch moves all the way up to 10th place. What a great drive for him. There's your winner, Laurent Aiello. But look at this. Christian Menzel, the young junior driver, runs 8th. The day, of course, belongs to Peugeot. And Laurent Aiello, he couldn't be happier.
It's a great race for us. It's good to start like this the season. And I hope that we will continue in that way. But as I say, next race is more difficult for us because it's a short track, and for the traction and everything, I think the car will be less constant during the race, so we will be more in trouble than that race.
There you can see the point standings. Joachim Winkelhock 2nd, and he can thank a great start at Hockenheim for that.
You know, I had the experience from the past years in England. The start is more or less in such a championship, in such a competitive championship, more or less the result for the race. And I was a little bit tired at the first race. Really, I missed the start. So I started as 4th and I finished as 4th. And so my whole concentration was for the second race. I did a good start. Was a little bit heavy against my teammate Johnny Cicotto, but anyway, I was 2nd and I could finish 2nd position. So this was my target for the weekend because the package, the compromise from Peugeot was here in Hockenheim in such a top speed circuit was the best solution.
And that does it for our coverage of the Super Touring Car Cup at Hockenheim. This is Milt Fitzwater. Hope you enjoyed the racing today, and see you in Zolder.